You know, I mean, to me, it's irrelevant where you start, especially the way plate racing is today. It'll probably be a little new era with a different size plate and a little bit different rear spoiler, but we'll just have to see when we practice in the morning.
Now, you've been Smiles all week. Where were you earlier this week?
I was in Kansas City, man.
Where?
Kansas City. You know, the air's a little different in Kansas. So I was having a good time out there testing.
I heard you paid a visit to somebody's race shop out there.
Oh, Danny Lasowski's. I had a good time. That's a good guy. I guess Tony helped him out on his sprint cars, and we went out to dinner there in downtown Higginsville. And
at the bowling alley?
At the bowling alley. It was a unique experience, but I enjoyed it. That's kind of like Dawsonville.
Rumors are that he made you buy, too, but we'll check on that.
No, I didn't buy.
Really?
Really? Tony bought.
Christian Fittipaldi, the Bugles Dodge on the Speedway, was 8th in practice. But that was likely wind aided.
Well, I don't know, Mike, because you heard Tommy Baldwin talking about Mike Egge engines. Mike Egge builds the engines for the 3 Petty cars along with the Jimmy Spencer car, and pretty consistently all through practice, all 4 of these cars were up there in the top 10 or 15. I know Christian Fittipaldi and that group, they came down here and tested, and they were very encouraged by the test. You know, you saw the interview a while ago with Casey Mears. Earlier this week, Casey Mears, along with Christian Fittipaldi and Richard Petty, they visited the Target House up in Memphis, Tennessee, which is a home away from home for families of children recovering from life-threatening diseases at the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So a great thing those guys did this past week.
See how Christian does here as he completes his final lap.
It's going to be a good lap. 6th on the board, 51, just about 51 flat for Christian Fittipaldi. But pole qualifying continues after this. John Andretti will be the 15th qualifier in the number 90. Not a Junie Dunleavy number 90, but they borrowed the number from Junie to announce AOL 9.0 on the side of that RCR Chevy. One of several, would you call them research and development cars entered here?
I think that's what I'd look at them at. We got 4 of them. You know, Robert Yates has got one with Jason Jarrett driving it. Mike Bliss for a Gibbs, and David Green is in a Hendrick bank car. And I think all these cars have been tested, and NASCAR mandates if you're going to test, you got to race. So that's the reason why they're here.
Well, what they also gain out of it is, you know, everybody will be in Daytona testing in January. It would be 2 laps at a time by yourself. This is a real test on Sunday when you can put a car out there in race conditions with 42 other cars, maybe trying different engine combinations for a 500-mile haul leading into the 2004 season. John's going to be 9th quickest at a 50.99. Remember, he has to get in on time, and I think, Mike, you were pointing out, you have to beat 13 cars to be in that top 36 fastest speeds.
Correct. Here's Dave.
And Bill Elliott with
2 Dodges and a Chevy in the front 4 right now. Another brand new paint scheme. This is the Robert Yates Ford R&D car. 3rd generation Winston Cup driver Jason Jarrett, who qualified 14th for the ARCA race here tomorrow. He's run in the Busch Series, but this is his first Winston Cup attempt.
And he was 22nd in practice here today. And early on, I was standing there with Dale Jarrett, and he was talking about how surprised he was about his race car. But at the same time, when he looked up and saw his son's first lap out, he said, got to be something wrong. They had practiced better than that. They had a problem with the carburetor. Changed carburetors, got right back out there, had a good solid practice run. So they're looking for good things out of this number 98 car.
And Jason and Dale did race against each other one time before in a Busch Series race at Lowe's Motor Speedway in May of 1998. They qualified 11th and 12th. I think Jason was 11th and DJ was 12th.
Now, that's one thing Ned Jarrett never got to do, was race against his son, at least not at the top levels of NASCAR. Either Glenn, Dale's brother, or Dale.
He's a 51.54 on his first lap, which is only 27th quickest out of 28 cars. So if he'll pick up that 6 or 7 tenths, that should put him in good shape to be in this show. And you heard Dale Jarrett talk about a lot of testing. That's actually how he ended up getting this right. I talked to Doug Yates this morning, and he said, we brought this kid or boy down here testing 2 cars, and said he never stopped. He'd go from one car to the other all day long, never even stop to take a drink of water. And he said, you know, we need, there you see his dad, Dale Jarrett, watching this qualifying run. Doug said, you know what, we need to reward this kid by giving him a chance to run the Winston Cup race at Talladega.
He's going to be in the show.
Right there, 18th right now, if he can keep digging right here. Sure is, right there at 51 flat almost, 18th fastest.
And that's 3 Fords in the top 20, Dave.
And the consensus is in the show with that. What do you think, your kid?
Should be. Here is Dave Blaney in the number 77 Jasper Engines and Transmissions. Dodge.
I was just going to say, if you see it coming through the trial, you see the word Dodge. Now, again, this team normally runs the Ford Taurus. I talked to Booty Barker this morning, and remember, they are not necessarily a team car to the 2 Penske cars, but Penske Jasper Engine supplies the engines for this car as well as Rusty Wallace and Ryan Newman. Booty said, you know, we've been struggling so much at the restrictor plate racetracks, maybe it was easier for that engine company for this restrictor plate race to supply 3 Dodge engines instead of 2 Dodge engines and a Ford engine, and maybe it will make us better.
Well, he told me right after practice was over with, we picked up a little bit, and I looked at the board, and it wasn't very good, but he said last time I was here with the Ford, I was dead last time, at least up a little bit off the bottom. Now, they wound up actually being 42nd, but he feels like he didn't have the attitude quite right, but he was going to work on it between practice and qualifying to see if he could find some more speed in his car.
One other part of the equation might be that when Penske Jasper Engines built just Ford engines, they got considerable R&D help from the Ford engineers. Now that they built Dodges for Ryan Newman and Rusty Wallace and Ford engines for Blaney, it seems that that pipeline to the Ford engineering side has been squeezed to a trickle.
Exactly.
And maybe that's part of the reason why they have a Dodge here.
I think you've got to hit right on the head right there, Mike, because you've got to be able to get all the technical support. And wherever it comes from, you got to get all you can get. And whenever it looks like Dodge is going to give you more, I think you got to go that way because it's really just a body on a race car.
I'm going to tell you what, they are struggling right here. You see right now as he comes through the trial, well, they're only about showing 27th quickest. So they're probably going to be back in provisional land.
Dave Blaney, 27th fastest, 51.45. That is a full second off of Elliott Sadler's current pole time. Brad Keselowski is up next. Started 12th at Bristol, his best start of the season, but has failed to finish 3 of his most recent 4 starts.
Jeff, we talked about heating the tires. It looks like Brad knows that this is going to kind of be a throwaway lap. He was swerving back and forth on lap 1 trying to get heat in those tires.
Yeah, I was watching him going down in turn 1. I said, what is he doing? And all of a sudden it dawned on me, he's just trying to get a little extra heat in those tires to make them grip. That's the key right now, is getting grip in those tires so you can run a little quicker.
He was 10th in practice times of the go-or-go-homers in the larger-than-life Chevrolet. Well, 21.78.
The good news is that beats DJ Kennington, so that will lock him into the show.
That's right. Only one driver goes home.
That's it.
So
that was the one he was looking for.
Mike Bliss in the Supercuts Dodge. 14th last week at Talladega, so that's 4 top 15s in a row for Bliss. His best qualifying effort, 3rd at Nashville. Bliss was 9th in practice.
You know, I think this team, Armando Fitz Racing, I think this is a prime example. I know we talk about multi-car teams, but sometimes maybe putting all your eggs in one basket pays off. I think last year trying to run 2 cars, sometimes 3 cars, I think spreading herself way too thin. I think now the performance is starting to pay off by just focusing on this one car.
Well, they're 9th in points in the owner's side of it. Even though Mike Bliss is 36th in the driver's side, but you know, they've had several different drivers in this car this year, but every time it goes out, it seems like it's got an opportunity to qualify in the top 10, and it's been racing in the top 10 a lot.
15th on the first lap.
He's going to pick up a lot. Yeah, he picks up a couple of 10s.
Yeah, 2 tenths. Picks up to 11. Speed fan
has got the power. I think we're going to hopefully set a good lap here, but John Wood and I won 3 races from last position last year together. So John told me, he said, man, if I could start in the back, I would. I mean, it's been a good omen for us.
Now, you talked on the radio throughout the course of the day today, really kind of trying to pump your guys back up and basically telling them you think you've got a really good piece here.
Oh, yeah, we do have a good piece. And, you know, testing it was good. My guys work hard. I mean, everybody does down here. But you know, we got Cowboy, we got Night Train Steve McCain, Darren Beach, Darren McDaniel, Bobby Clark. They all are in this for the right reasons. It's so cool to – I got under the truck and helped them work a little bit. I even got something on my suit right here. But I almost got one of the guys fired. I was in the way, to be honest with you. But I had fun, and it's a good team sport. And it's cool to work with them.
Let me show you where the driver's compartment is. It's right in here. You've got a chair and you've got a seat. You've got a steering wheel, some other stuff.
Every time I start working on it, my crew chief, he looks at me, and he's a big dude, and he gives me that glare, and he goes, hold the steering wheel. That's all you got to do.
I think that's good advice. So he's going to get in there and try to qualify the Super Chips Ford here in a little bit. But no matter where he starts in this field or on the list, I guess he'll start in the back of the field.
And you may want to say, why is it so important for him to try to get a good qualifying run? Well, that will allow him to get a pit position. These guys will pick the pits on where they're going to pit on Friday night by virtue of how they qualify. So if he gets the quickest qualifying lap, then more than likely he would pick #1 pit, which is the last pit out going in towards turn 1, and it really can be an advantage on pit road.
Yeah, you still want to get that pick pit. You know what I mean.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, easy for me. What about Andy Houston's lap, though?
Ultra Motorsports, they've had a lot of success in qualifying. Andy Houston currently 4th fastest in qualifying here with a 49.324 second lap. And he shut it down as well.
That was a pickup for Andy, too. About a little over 1/10 of a second.
We talked about these guys doing this in a plug check situation where they'll cross the start finish line and they'll shut it down. Now the Nextel Cup cars and the Busch cars, they can make it all the way around. The trucks kick such a big hole in the air. Can they get all the way in?
Well, they'll have to. Andy will probably restart that truck, but he ran 2 laps. They have quite a bit of tape on it, so he probably was running a little too hot. That's why he shut it off when he did. He probably will let the water circulate a little bit, and he'll start it back up to get back around. Let's go down to Wendy Norris in the pits.
Well, Matt Crafton
right now for us.
Now, did you have any help on your quick lap in practice? Because everybody's been watching the 4 at the top of the podium.
My first lap was legit. My second lap picked up a 1/2 Then I had a truck out in front of me a little bit, but that was pretty. It was pretty legit. I mean, a legit lap would have been a 1/2 slower than what I run in practice, which would have still been the quickest. But Fred and them put up a good lap. You know, that's a pretty neat deal for them to come out of the box like that. But I don't think we'll be good enough for the pole. Actually, I hope we're not.
All right, well, at least we set Schrader straight there. And, of course, he's talking about Fred Wanke, who works with Terry Cook.
See, you just listen to Bobby right there. He says it's pretty legit. I mean, what's that mean?
Well, it's very similar to some of the templates that Ray was talking about earlier.
Almost real close.
Almost perfect.
Yeah.
A guy that was almost perfect earlier in practice was Brandon Witt. Very fast in both practice sessions.
Going to come across the line for his first lap in 10th position, 49.684. So probably a little bit disappointed with that lap. It's going to safely get him in the field, but I'm sure it's not going to be exactly what he was looking for.
He's already spewing a little water out the overflow there, coming out the right rear. So you got a little opening down there at the bottom, but must be temperature gauge moving up there already.
He's going to want to try to get a second lap in, but as you see the water coming out from the right rear corner of that truck. That's where his overflow hose is. So I'd say right now that truck probably is running about 240, 250 degrees, wouldn't you, Ken?
Yeah, and the power really starts to fall off when those engines start making, when they generate a lot of heat inside them.
Brandon Witt slowing down a little bit on his second lap, 49.701 seconds. Currently in 10th position through 24 trucks that have tried to or attempted to make this field.
How old is Brandon? Do we know?
You were right.
He looks about 14, 15.
He looks just like I did 35 years ago. I know that.
Amazing how young he looks. Let's go down to Wendy Norris, another one that looks.
Round out the 36 truck starting field, and then unfortunately 5 trucks will go home, and again hopefully Kelly will have run fast enough or have enough points to get it. She did not run fast enough to qualify, but hopefully she'll have enough points to get it.
This last qualifier, you know, little drama here as we We got Terry Cook paying a lot of attention because this is Chase Montgomery, who just happened to be the second fastest truck in second practice today. So you know that Terry's thinking this could be a concern here.
This is one of those guys that you're going to watch the Nextel poll that has the different numbers on it telling who's on top and who's in second. Currently that 10's up top.
Truck's out of the Bobby Hamilton stable. It has been the fastest, so we'll just have to see.
Tennessee native Chase Montgomery jumping on board with the Tennessee-based team of Bobby Hamilton Racing.
Talked to his father in the garage area because the truck was going through inspection. They're very, very excited to be with Bobby Hamilton Racing and very excited to be here at Daytona. And Chase is doing a whale of a job wheeling this thing around here. Been awfully fast in practice, and we'll see what happens here. We're gonna see if he gets the pole here in about 3 more seconds.
And he'll have another lap, but as he goes across the start-finish line, second quick for Chase Montgomery, 49.150. Now, he's got some work to do if he wants to take that pole away from Terry Cook.
Oh, 1500s is quite a bit to pick up, but we saw Travis pick it up. So it's possible. Terry Cook knows it's possible.
You know, the one way this truck may pick up a lot is if he has a real high gear. And even though these trucks get up this, as you heard Terry Cook say, they shut it down. They only ran 1 lap. So Terry Cook is our pole sitter.
Terry Cook claiming the pole. And
it's a tuner lifestyle event. Tuner Vision is Tuesday night, 7:30 Eastern, and only on Speed. BG Products 07 for Carl Long out of North Carolina. This will be his second Busch Series start. He tried to attempt of the season, that is, made an attempt in Chicago but did not make the show.
And Carl was 44th quickest in practice, quite a ways down the list of the 30.81. I think Dave Burns has caught up with the man that won Chicago that didn't complete his qualifying run a while ago.
And that is Justin Labonte. And Justin, what happened?
Sway bar arm came off the right front there going into 3 and 4 on a warm-up lap. I don't know what happened, but it was kind of like driving a dirt car or something. It was all over the place, and I knew something was wrong, so I just came in.
You have obviously, though, more recently had success in this series. Talk to us about some of the things that, some of the big things that have happened since you guys won in Chicago.
You know, it was a great win for us. It's a lot more people noticed this week, and it was fun coming back to the racetrack. We're really concentrating on this race. I just hate this happen. I hope we get in. But last week's over with. Now it's time to focus on this next race.
Justin did tell me before we went on camera, guys, it's nice when people are calling you as opposed to waiting at the phone. They were really calling him and talking to him a lot about radio and things like that after he won at Chicago.
That was a great win.
And he's going to be borderline because he's 34th in owner points, so it's going to be nail-biting for that group.
Carl Long may be headed home. He does not have a provisional available, and he is 10th of 12.
I think that's going to make the fastest 38.
Gus Wasson on the number 10. Going for his 19th start of the season.
Yeah, he was not that quick in practice. Out of the 48 cars, he was only 46th quickest. You can just hear he's just out of the throttle a long time. You certainly don't want the car to wash up with you, but you still got to carry some speed in there. Try to pick that throttle up just as soon as you possibly can. Look around the outside of the Loudon, New Hampshire International Speedway. You can see now the safer barriers are in place here at both ends of the racetrack.
30.64 is going to be the slowest time posted thus far, 28. 30 drivers have made attempts. Greg Biffle ended up in the fence, and Justin Labonte had mechanical problems under the hood.
Unless Gus really picks it up on his second lap, that should lock Brad Teague into the top 38, fastest 38 cars. Right now, that time is a 30.05. Let's see what Gus does on his second lap. He actually slows down.
Only a couple of hundredths, but he'll be looking for a provisional.
This will be another car that has no provisionals available. We interviewed him a while ago, Matt Koboluk, in the 40 car. He was 28th quickest in practice. They tested here. He runs the Busch North Series, but when he tested here, that's the first time he has ever driven a radial tire. The Busch North Series run bi-supply tires. He said it was definitely a different feel.
Mohegan Sun is one of the two big casinos in Connecticut, both owned by Indian tribes, the other being Foxwoods. And Matt is actually a member of the tribe. He and his family are tribal members, and the casino sponsors the racing efforts.
Didn't look too bad, guys.
And yeah, he runs well here in the Busch North car. So 30-23, that's going to be on the edge, isn't it?
Yeah, he needs to pick it up just a little bit. He needs to beat one more car.
He needs to pick up 1/10 right now to put himself 26, and he'd be in good shape.
Now this car they bought from Martin Truex when Martin was up here running in the north, and then when they moved south, Martin and his dad sold a lot of the equipment, and this is one of the cars that they sold that they bought.
They won some races up here, so they know the score. Let's see if Koboluk can put it in the show. He did it.
Yeah, he'll race the car.
30-02.
Good job, Matt.
Always nice to see the local fellas do well. You know, give the New England fans somebody to cheer for. So Matt Koboluk is in the field.
And could you imagine going to your very first Busch Series race and attempting to qualify and missing the show? That would be with you forever.
But he's in.
He's in.
And here's Dave.
How's that? Here's Christian Fittipaldi in the Petty 43. Same spot, no provisionals to fall back on. They've used all they're eligible for. He's got to make the field on time. Bad news for Christian. He was 50th fastest in yesterday's practice. Can he take advantage of maybe some cooler track conditions?
He's got him. He's got the conditions perfect right now.
He does. Laid up against that wall off turn 4.
Although he's about 3 miles an hour off at the start-finish line anyway.
Christian's uncle Emerson, two-time Indianapolis 500 winner. Christian ran the 500 once in his open-wheel career. Finished second, 1995.
What's the track tap now there, Matt?
It is 100.0. Remember when it started the day, it was 107.5, and when Kevin Harvick knocked down his time, it was 97. So, you know, it is getting closer, creeping back down, which is good news for Labonte, Rusty Wallace, and Jimmy McMurray.
Already.
Yeah. Well, this is, like I said, it's a momentum racetrack. If you're not carrying the speed going into turn 1, you know, you're not going to find it. You have to have 200 plus mile an hour going into 1. You have to be able to carry that all the way back around the racetrack. If you're 4 mile an hour off going into 1, you're not going to make it up.
Not enough for Christian Fittipaldi. 43rd, needed to be 36th or better.
It's not good when your starting spot matches your car number and your car number 43. Is still the car to beat for 36th spot, 49.905.
Best qualifying effort for Christian in his 8 previous Winston Cup tries was a 17th out at Phoenix last November. It looks like he's going to come up short as far as being in the Brickyard 400 field is concerned. Nope, slower on lap 2. 43rd. 43 car will not be in Sunday's race.
And Schrader's
hanging in there.
He's hanging in there. Right now we still have the 18 of Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Jamie McMurray, Kyle Petty, Jeremy Mayfield still to qualify. Right now I would guess that Kenny Schrader is doing a rain dance because he probably would make the show if it rained.
I don't think I'd count on that. Well, Bobby Labonte, it's going to be might be tough for that provisional thing to get back as far as this 45 car too.
It's a new look for the 45. It looks like the 43 this week.
Second to last car to go, Kyle Petty.
Ooh, that wasn't good.
50, the wiggle. 52nd fastest in yesterday's practice out of 52 cars.
He needs to pick up 2 seconds. That would get him in.
the bubble time right now is 49.866. That is what Brett Bodine's number is.
Yeah, that's a pretty fast speed. I thought about a 49.90 would be fast enough to make it in the Brickyard 400, but 49.85? 86. 86. And he and Junior ran exactly the same. Brett Bodine and Dale Earnhardt Jr. run exactly the same speed.
Hey, I think Kyle's got a good enough lap going here. Well, maybe not.
It's going to be close.
Yeah, he's just 43rd. Not quite.
Well, I don't know if that thing's right or not. Yeah, it was. It is. 41st. Not fast enough for Kyle.
But he's got one more shot. He's got about another 40 seconds. And you can see right now he's on pace at 36th, 37th, but he lost some time. He decided to quit off turn 2.
Now Kyle is eligible for a provisional. It's just a matter of whether they get back that, back to him in the standings. Right now, he's going to get one. Just looking at the standings and who has been bumped out of the field so far.
But doing your math.
My math, yeah. So nobody's going to rely on that, obviously. Thank you. And Brett Bodine stays on the bubble for one final car.
And a car that's very fast.
You know, Bill Weber talked about heroes and heartbreaks at Indianapolis, and this is where the heartbreak part comes in on qualifying day. You want to be in this race.
Bud Pole qualifying from Phoenix underway with Kenny Wallace on the track now. His first lap was a pretty good one.
It was a great lap. He was 9th best so far, got a second lap. But we see red is bad, as you see our TNT pace chase. He will not be on the pole, but a great run up to 5th best. 27.590, 130.48 miles per hour. Great lap.
Kenny qualified his best of a third here in 98. He qualified 7th last year in the 55 car. Been a pretty good track for him last few years. And as he continues to substitute for Steve Park, he's given the Pennzoil machine a good run today. 34 have gone. Leaves us 10 more drivers to make their 2 laps on the clock. 4 cars to go. Here's Brett Bodine, who was 6th fastest in practice, and a team that could use a good performance and a good starting spot. They need some sponsorship for next year, and it's getting late in the game to be trying to find it.
You know, these teams really pick it up when it comes to qualifying. As you said, Brett Bodine was 6th best in practice. He ran 27.661 in practice, and right now 661 would put him in 10th position. So you can see just how much these teams pick it up and try so much harder when it comes time to qualify.
Lost a lot of time there in 3 and 4. Lap 1 for Brett. 26th. Let's see about lap 2.
Our TNT pace chase says that he's going to struggle to try to be on the pole. In a half a lap, he's lost about 2/10. If he could just keep that, he would be in pretty good shape. That would be that 61.
He's going to be down around 15th somewhere. Well, now he gained a bunch of time off turn 4. He got a good run off 4 that time.
12th best. So we have the 2 Bodines, Todd and Brett. Second lap, 27.629, 130.30. And once again, we go to Dave Burns.
Well, we'll be watching that. Another guy that we'll try to watch work his way around this racetrack is your brother, DW. Michael Waltrip jumping first time ever in a Toyota.
Well, he was very unhappy with this truck when he first went out in it this morning. But, man, Johnny Allen, those guys, they found a problem. They fixed it. And Michael went out and said, I don't know what you did to it, but this baby's a rocket now. And I expect Michael to run really, really well tonight.
Now, I hate to admit this, but Johnny Allen told me it was some baling wire that they used to actually calm his nerves.
Yeah. I was listening on the scanner, and I thought Michael was having a seizure or something. He was making all kind of weird noises, but it was because the truck was vibrating real bad.
And he would run 2 laps and be out of breath.
Yeah.
You see that balance right down on the racetrack. That thing was actually hitting the racetrack so hard, it actually felt like a vibration as he got right to the corner. So they actually tied that thing up with some safety wire like you were talking about, Rick, and he said that made all the difference in the world.
Well, he quit complaining, I know that.
I don't know if it was singing, but it was some sort of different tones that were coming through his radio when he was out on the racetrack. 6th quickest of the 6 that have gone, 32.479 for Michael Waltrip. He's one of the drivers that has to actually qualify on speed. Let's go down tracks, get back in the gas either.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy. You got to have lines.
Some kind of markers anyway.
Yeah,
right?
how do I know if you got in my lane or not if I don't have any lines on the track?
How do we know who to blame?
That's right. How did got where you were in my lane?
Cheerios, Betty Crocker. Number 98 Dodge, now on the racetrack, Aaron Crocker.
Is that pretty low right there, would you say?
I think that one is running about as low as you can run.
What do you think's holding the car up, or the truck up?
She had a great run last week. Finished 16th, but ran up in the top 15 for a lot of that race. I think that may have been one of her best events of the year in this Czech Dodge.
That young lady just needs a couple of good things to happen to her. She needs some really good, solid runs to get her confidence that she can still get this job done, and I believe she can, and I know Ray does too.
Last week you mentioned that 16th place finish tied her career best. So somewhat on a roll, but you see a lot of sparks. That obviously can't be making her faster.
No, but that's really just light pieces of aluminum that they use across the nose of that thing. It'll make a lot of sparks. It shouldn't be hurting the performance any.
Second lap for Aaron Crocker, 32.632. So that was her quickest. She's 8th quick. 8 have gone.
Good from the word go. And we've made really minor adjustments, and you know, I was happy with it from the start, and you know, we backed up pretty much what we mocked. I would have liked to have gotten that 5. You know, those guys are real tough customers this year. I think they just darn near swept all these poles, but you know, I'm really happy with what we were able to do with Waste Management Toyota Tundra, and you know, I'm looking forward to a good race tonight.
Tight qualifying session, misses the pole by 3/100ths of a second, guys.
Yeah, Bill Luster was awfully good here last year. Qualified 2nd for this race and then finished 5th. Tied his career best last year.
Hang on, Chase. That's about where Chase got into the wall earlier today on his first lap. 13th quick.
You're coming up out of that turn, and you're just hoping that that progressive banking is picking up as you get up near the top to catch that baby.
We had mentioned Chase Miller, very quick in practice earlier today. Their day started about 9:30 this morning when they were on the racetrack, working on getting these trucks exactly the way they wanted them for racing. Chase's was working very well in the first practice, but then had problems when he went for his mock qualifying run.
And still a good lap right there, 13th so far. Actually moves it up to 11th on lap number 2, 31.955. So he's got to be real happy with. These are his first laps on the racetrack since he hit the wall in practice.
Johnny Benson